Welcome to part 2 of my retrospective on the official Nintendo magazine. This is my latest issue 106 and it is a subscription cover. For some reason the subscription covers and the regular covers were different. Here at the front we have massive review, move over Sherlock! Here we have an editor, Matthew Castle. He used to be the editor of Endgamer, the independent Nintendo magazine. So let's see what he has to say. A new issue of This reminds me of a puzzle. An editor has a blank cover and two potential stars, both of them video game stalwarts. One is a lawyer who may or may not hold incriminating evidence about the said editor. The other is a genius academic who is willing to explain the mystery of crafting the perfect editor's intro column. Both would prove invaluable, so which would you opt for? The answer, a cop-out of how did Sherlock survive proportions, is to feature them both. So here we are, with my two digital heroes together at last. Of course, once you played their game, you'll understand why I couldn't split them up. If the two are amazing alone, cramming them into one cartridge sees them crushed into diamond brilliance. Meet the team, Matthew Castle, who's better, Leighton or Wright? To find out, our editor's taking a walking to work in a bright blue suit and top hat. Whichever gets laughed at by youths first wins. News editor, I like to call him Joe Scribbles. Our man helped host an indie game tournament in a Soho bar this month, which brings the total number of insults Matt has for him being alt to around 40,000. Staff writer to be confirmed. Next month we'll be making a big reveal of our new staff writer. Well, they will. There's no way we're wasting time on this page once they're available to do it. Gavin Murphy. It's a make your own Gav joke special. Just combine any of the following elements. Lazy, perverted, something about wheels, rude and unstoppably evil. Sorted. Tom Hawken. Tom's biggest job is filming Matthew in his weekly Expert Super Guide episodes. Not because it's hard, it just takes him a long time to recover afterwards. Matt Elliott, contributor. Matt plays both sides, not only writing for the magazine, but scripting Nintendo Unleashed. It's like The Departed, but with chocolate bars instead of guns. Your guy, Matthew Castle. Every magazine he's in, be it Nintendo Gamer or an official Nintendo magazine, he always has to talk about it, those damn Wispa goals that he loves so much. So a little different here, we have Incoming. It's not like the propaganda they had in the earlier ONM magazines. He explains how if the Wii U sales seem out of control, it's the controller's allure that will see Nintendo succeed once again. When this magazine was running during the first half of the Wii U and 3DS era, it wasn't like when the Wii came out, Nintendo were cocky and they were just bombing and blowing about how great everything is. They had to do damage control and say why the Wii U will eventually become a hit. There's some changes I like. They have a question mark block and they have a fact, a number for the number of years the gamepad was developed for. 500, the number of grams that served as the target weight for the gamepad, and 60 to 70 percentage of the human body made up of water, which can throw off wireless receivers if badly placed. Luckily the gamepad designers knew about this beforehand. Quite interesting. I know with the Wii, the sensor wasn't the best on that. Whenever I used the Wiimote way back in 2006, I couldn't get it pointing at the screen properly, and I didn't find out for a while later that it was to do with the lights of the Christmas tree, so I assume that the technology is better. The gamepad was always billed as Wii U's ace in the hole. Sadly that hole seems to have turned out to be a marina trench deep, was packed with spikes and had the phrase "Don't look in here" piped out in the frightening ghost's voice of the last 16 months. It's fair to say the dream of the gamepad, the humble controller that would free the living room of its one screen shackles, change family dynamics and be really useful for trips to the WC, has not materialized in quite the way we would have hoped. For once the entire games industry seems unanimously as to the reason why. As Awada puts it, we have not been able to fully communicate the value of the gamepad. I like this, they're a bit more realistic in these editions of the magazine. You may not know his face, but you surely know the voice. This is none other than Christopher Robin Miller, aka Professor Herschel Layton. Hi Chris, as lifelong Professor Layton nuts, we're honoured to have you upon our pages. Could you please introduce yourself to our readers? Hello, I'm Christopher Robin Miller. I'm a voice of Professor Layton in all English language releases. I'm a Gemini, don't see that why that's relevant. My My turn-ons are long walks on the beach, movies with chimps wearing clothes, and ventriloquism. I think I'm funny, as does my 4-year-old. My dear wife reminds me that I am not. So it's quite an interesting interview. He started off mimicking the voices of cartoons like the Muppets ever since he was quite young. When he applied for the Professor Layton role, there was a lot of competition. He says the voice is a mixture of the narrator and Oil from Winnie the Pooh, World of Nintendo. It tells you news that happens all over the world, and it says the location of each news source. Iwata reveals plans to test flexible price points on the Wii U. Yeah, Nintendo was never good at pricing their games be on the virtual console or physical form. I never seen great prices when I was using the 3DS eShop. You're not compared to things like Steam. Sega talks us through the amazing Sonic Boom. Oh boy. The Nintendo shopping channel, pick of the month release on Nintendo UK's online store. Ohm's online picks. Mario Kart Wii still £35 and Mario Kart DS is still 30. Friggin' hell. Mario Kart 7 was new at the time and it was only £5 dearer. Not really the best prices there, because you could get Mario Kart 7 on Amazon at the time for 30 quid. There's like a MiiVerse here. Plaza Generalissimo. Joe gets himself stuck Tron-like inside the mainframe. Matthew endures tech rivalry, and no one is sure if Gav is even a real person these days. Your monthly window into our online world, Connect. This month it turns out that some people organize their lives according to Mario Kart Double Dash, and Chandra, who he may be an evil genius. How could you forget Chandra? That hair rant. We entertain the notion that Nintendo should deal with licenses, not physical games. Naturally, the entire internet agrees, so that's that sorted then. Smash Bros update. Pow! What do you think of our assist trophies? Oof! Palkia is inside a Pokeball. Biff! What are you looking at, Lucario? Sock! I don't quite get the humour of this issue. Joe Scribbles says, back here at the time of writing, it's been raining and blowing a gale for days on end. Yeah, welcome to the UK. Matthew's wearing a wetsuit for his 45-minute walk into work, and I keep shaking my hair like some horrid dog with no concern for onset of mildew. It's terrible. Do you know how we cope with the moist misery? We turn on our Wii U's, warm our hands by the heatsink, and jump into the bright, airy realm of MiiVerse, where we never have problems that don't involve the words Pokemon Bank. MiiVerse, one of the best sections in this new rendition of Ohm. MiiVerse Watch Bravely Default. I remember I played the demo of that game. The characters were too small on the 3DS screen. It was really built for the 3DS XL. As we've diligently documented over the last year or so, the more aching beautiful a video game is, the more its MiiVerse drawings resemble a deranged scrawls of a really sleepy madman. Somehow, Square Enix' new old school RPG has escaped that inverse correlation. The characters in here are as lovely as the game depicts. You would not believe how hard it was to get Leighton right cover sorted. Sure, you guys look like chums, but in real life, you can't get them in the room together. They're like the Gallicas.
I climb walls while you sleep.
I've gone full digital this month. What if all the new eShop games? That might explain why I'm not typing this on a computer, but in one. Help! It's funny how trainers in the anime get sentimental when they trade Pokemon, but in the real world, no one gives a flying fuck about the ones they give away. Strange Cookie is one of our favourites, though he does frighten us. I found love in a hopeless place. Just 6 feet away from base 4 on Mount Everest. I think the low pressure front is aiding my climb.
Can somebody do me a huge favor?
With 2 of us on the one account, it can get a little confusing. Our me probably thinks it's Tyler Duran by this point. This doesn't look like a new leaf to me. So here they have the letters closer to the front because they realize that the letters are one of the best parts of the magazine. Starred letter, drumming in Pipe Plaza. Last month's debate about the best Mario Kart sent me tumbling through a mental wormhole back into my uni days, where every argument was settled with a double dash balloon battle. No one wanted to take the rubbish out. A group trip to Cookie Land was followed by a lonely trek to one of Ben Juice World. Did Dave wash up the roasting tin last Sunday? A drumming in Pipe Plaza says he didn't. This was intense stuff, a matter of life or death, especially when losing on Tilt-A-Cart meant having to pluck a foul ball of ambiguous fur from a bath plug hole. A fate far worse than any blue spiny up the tailpipe. I can't wait to see what Mario Kart 8 does with Balloon Battle. Poor guy's gonna be let down. If only because the garage door needs painting and Mrs. Holland needs to be cajoled into doing it. A green shell says she'll do it. Dee Dee's balloon battle was brilliant, weren't they? There's nothing more humiliating than stealing someone else's balloon and forcing them to pop their own life away. Have a game for reminding us of good times. Also, but don't be a lousy husband. In a frightful heat wave the other day, all my power went off in the house and we couldn't play Mario Party as we had desperately wanted to. Sonny Jim suggested that we be innovative and dress up as characters to play a live version, but before I could say, "You're a stark raving lunatic," everyone had donned costumes to look like the various characters, and I ended up having to be Princess Daisy for being so tardy with my choice. It truly was a battle royale. Using everyday implements, we invented such challenges as egg beater marathon, match the socks, climb the drapes and grab the light bulbs without screaming, and everyone's favourite, except mine for obvious reasons, pin the tail on Princess Daisy's head. Although we did end up destroying 3 vases, countless plates, a plush sofa and 2 dining chairs, but with the help of some liquid nail glue, we feel we sorted out most of these little problems. We had a great time, one that conjured happy memories that will undoubtedly be shared with various offspring for generations to come. Word to the wise, by all means share this with your various offspring, but don't enlist them into that drapes light bulb screaming event. We'll have to call child services. Really, that letter should have got the best star letter. I'm sure if he had included a picture, he would have got it Nair style. Fido here has clearly been taking tips from the undisputed king of follicular folly. It was recently my 16th birthday, and upon opening one of my cards I noticed it had a picture of suspiciously similar to Chandra's farewell editor pic. That got me thinking that perhaps Chandra hasn't gone off to work at Nintendo UK as he claimed, and is in fact shooting photos of more animals in sunglasses and rainbow wigs ready to be printed everywhere. In time he'll subliminary influence on our minds until these pics are replaced by the picture we saw in the mag, and Chandra's sunglasses rainbow wigged face is staring at us from every newsagent's card and stationery shop available. He'll then use the influence it brings to take control of the UK, or it could just be a coincidence, you never know. Well, that was Boris Johnson's tactic and it worked. A nightmarish vision indeed. That said, we'd rather he glued rainbow wigs to animals than stuck his own hair on Nintendo's classic mascots. We'll warm Iwata pronto. How did Mario become so popular? I mean, just how many plumbers do you know that jump on mushroom-faced minions, eat poisonous mushrooms for lunch, kill viruses as part-time job, and push massive angry turtle lizards into lava for a hobby? Sure, Nintendo's great games, but characters aren't very realistic. Kirby's a pink football game of life. Link's dead, but Nintendo won't just admit it. Finally, Pokemon is pretty much a same game, repeated over and over in new environments. However, if it lets me prepare shells, ground pound, and drop a bomb on my brother without physically doing anything to him in real life, then who am I to sabotage everyone's imagination? Plus, if I die in the gaming world, I can be revived in a matter of seconds. Sweet! Wait a minute, Link is secretly dead, you say? And you want to drop a bomb on your brother? For a 7 and 10-year-old, you two have a seriously bleak worldview. Thanks for seriously bumming us out. Do you remember when Nintendo used to make 3D games? Not that 3DS nonsense. I mean games where you had rolling planes to gallop and explore. I look now and all I see is classic mascots put onto the rolling pin. Kirby Triple Deluxe, Yon Yoshi, Donkey Kong Country, New Super Mario Bros. U, Yoshi's New Island, not the Z-axis between them. I'm sure these games will be fine, but considering that Nintendo is the only company that can truly master the 3D platformer, Spyro and Crash can take a hike. It seems a game to restrict all that know-how to one Mario game every 3 years. Can't you guys have a quiet word with Iwata and let him know that it's not the 1990s anymore? Nintendo's side-scrolling output may look safe, but when the games are this good, is it wise to complain? Besides, Nintendo's 3D past is often exaggerated. Outside Mario and Rare's Nintendo 64 output, 3D games are conspicuously few and far between. Come on, does anyone really want a sequel to Wario World? Thought not. His huge collection.
Here's my wee 9-year-old son and his collection of Super Mario toys. This was taken at Christmas and now he's 2 more, taking his collection to 87.
Great collection, though it does remind us of E.T. hiding among Gertie's toys. Here's hoping the government doesn't come and perform all sorts of experiments on him too. Worry at first, the soft toys became used to the boy, eventually accepting him into the social order. Here's the Facebook messages. Is it just me, or did that fairy just call Link an anus? He totally deserves it for bottling them up so often. Fairly cruel. I love the fact that Scrum Kitty has the GBA era cult feel to it. I like the oddball genre mashup that only indies seem willing to play with. I'm buying it on release day. Why does the guy in the Expert Super Guide video look like Matthew Castle from Endgamer? I swear he does. Maybe instead of a Vanillish as health item in Smash Bros, it could be a Castellicone? Life without Mario Kart is boring. Hope character specific powers are back. Let's cheat, scumbag. Previously on the OM podcast. When I worked in Woolworths, there's a castle in aisle 3. That meant there was a grown man pooping his pants by the pick and mix. Really? Yeah, that was a castle in aisle 3. Disbelieving but confused, no. Of course not. I was going to say, what a coincidence. There's no way that happened and my name's also Castle. You're an idiot. Tweet tweet. Why was Earthbound not the best virtual console title? Sonic 3D was fun, but Earthbound was wow-inducing. We took pity on the hedgehog. 20 years living in Mario's shadow surely has taken its toll on the guy eventually. I can't help but dream that Project Zero coming to Wii U one day. It makes so much sense when you think about it. Imagine turning the gamepad 180 degrees to see a ghost. No, wait, don't imagine. On second thought, that's way too scary. I have lost my copy of issue 100 and I want to keep it forever. Please, 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 please sell me another copy. Leave £1,000 in an unmarked note around the back of a Preptim or try Future Publishing's online store. Either is fine. I still haven't forgiven Pokemon for making One Direction the face of Pokemon Black and White. Well, we still haven't forgiven One Direction for Harry Styles breaking poor Taylor Swift's heart. The luscious haired monster. That's a shame, only 2 pages of the letters as opposed to 4 in the last one. OM Rant, where the Nintendo fan community and OM forums discuss the hottest topics. Opinion piece, Alex Dale. Alex once spent £60, yes 60, on a copy of Yoshi's Story on Nintendo 64, so he reckons he knows a little something about whether or not Nintendo is ripping him off. For 45 glorious minutes in early January, it appeared Nintendo had broken the habit of a lifetime. Premium eShop titles such as Pikmin 3 and The Wonderful 101 were subject to sudden aggressive price cuts from £40 to a shade under £9. Bemused fans, sensing the fire sale was more of an admin error than altruism, lapped up the deals with the feverishness of a kitten of a bowl of banana fridge, and their fears were well rounded. Within an hour, the prices had rocketed back to normal. Many commenters saw this as future proof that Nintendo's digital strategy was behind the times, that it had failed to note the huge success that PC retailers such as Steam had enjoyed by slashing the price of top quality games by up to 80% in reckless sales promotion. But is reversing eShop sales really that simple? A question in value? I don't think that it is. Of course you'd say that working at the Nintendo magazine. Steam's et al. Business model is designed to chew terrific games up and spit them out again. Nothing holds value. Once the early adopters have relieved in their money, prices plummet to bargain bin levels and the games become worthless. Braid for a quid, VVVVVVV, swapped for a toffee crisp. Mark of the Ninja free in a packet of cornflakes. This is as far as Nintendo's way of thinking as you can get. It has positioned itself as the gaming connoisseur's choice. Its stuff takes a while to come out and it's undeniably expensive, but you know that it's going to be beautifully engineered and will stand the test of time. The concept of denigrating its craft and giving away for pennies is alien to Nintendo's values. But how can Nintendo retain its ideals by which it is defined and complete in the ultra-competitive digital market? The answer is to look at why people are so hesitant as to spend big on digital video games in the first place. Perception is everything, and the perception in this case is that digital copies are fleeting, ephemeral things that you can't take with you when change console. Well, that's not true, maybe for the Nintendo, but it's for something like Steam or the Xbox store you can. We're less than a decade removed from the birth of the virtual console, and we've already seen that the purchases we made on the Wii can't be carried forward to the Wii U or 3DS. That's because they were installed to the console, not to an account. If we're expected to pay premium prices, then the digital versions need to be more permanent purchase rather than their disc-based brethren. Hopefully the Nintendo Network ID system will be the first step towards the virtual console purchases being cross-platform licenses rather than the single-use loans. Just under £40 for Pikmin 3 on Wii U is verging for a rip-off, but $39.99 for Pikmin 3 license for life is a steal. No, it's not. It costs the company a lot less money to sell digital copy than what it does packaging a disc in a cover. I would say knock about £10 off. On Epic community, we wouldn't say that unepic protagonist Daniel was the most inspiring hero. Casual drug users in shabby hoodies are more the preserve of game shops rather than the games in them. But MiiVerse is rather taken with the guy, for some reason preserving his weedy little soul patch for all eternity. And why not? That should be a question mark there. As we keep saying, the geeks shall inherit the earth, the unepic Legend of Zero. MiiVerse was really ahead of its time. They need to bring that back for Nintendo's next console. Over to you. The OM forum offers 2 cents on whether or not they want to spend cents. Either way, it's taking a lot of sense. There's a lot of love out there for Alex's license pitch. Metroid thinks it's everything that's wrong with the digital media, no less. The don't buy a game, buy a license part is everything that is wrong with digital media. Microsoft tried to leak that mentality into physical copies and there was a backlash. It's sometimes a necessary evil with file sharing, but all DRM like that does is hassle paying customers while pirates work to skirt it. The cross-platform thing needs to happen though. Paying for the same game multiple times is inexcusable. Sharing a digital copy diminishes its value as a commodity according to Omega Bear. The idea of buying a license to play the other platforms escapes me a bit, but part of that is my having become used to being a solitary gamer. While it's restrictive, I've warned to the idea of my games can only be played on one console. Games are a commodity and downloading cheapens them somewhat unless they are securely connected to a device and they are somehow able to retain their value. How about cross-platform purchases? Over to you, Rachel.
In a perfect world, we'll be able to buy Nintendo games once and play them freely on 3DS and Wii U. I don't go in for buying something twice just before I might want to play them on a handheld for a change. Also, when will our purchases be tied to an account rather than the console? If anything happens to my 3DS, will the £70 plus worth of gains just disappear? It's really not in this day and age.
Is Rachel looking a gift horse in the mouth? Martin is awesome, thinks we should count on Nintendo's blessing. He was also a frequent commenter on the Nintendo website. You always get your regulars and he's definitely the most regular. I'd welcome that. But I don't see cross-platform play as a necessity. If you want to play a game on another console, you should pay for that privilege, and when you only have to pay around £6 for an SNES Virtual Console game, that's a sweet deal, considering in the olden days when you might have cost anything between £45 and £60. Martin, you sound like a massive Nintendo fanboy there. £6 for an NES game is a bit steep, considering Sega released a mega collection of Mega Drive games. How many did they release? Like 50 games on a disc that you can buy used for £10 or £15 with the updated graphics. You don't see it as a necessity. Consoles will eventually degrade and die. Dambish is getting all up in Martin is Awesome's grill.
It's a fact that you have to pay for it twice, especially now Nintendo's merged the 3DS and Wii U eShop accounts into one single NNID. If I bought an NES game on the 3DS, then why should I have to buy it again to play on a bigger screen?
That man knows what he's talking about. If not sharing, how about sunk sales? Would Nintendo devalue classic games by lopping off the pennies? Nublet thinks not. These are games that a few people worked on 30 years ago, so there's no real loss in value. Considering all the games on the Virtual Console are from the NES, SNES era, there's no real threat to them in turn devaluing the franchise they represent or new games in the franchise. See, everybody's against Martin, rightly so, even the magazine. Sweetening the digital deal is key to success, according to freebie-loving Grant Jones. Why not throw in the equivalent of free games of new titles? Wind Waker on GameCube has a second disc with classic Zelda games on. So how about the new Mario Kart game in the Wii U? Includes codes for the SNES, Nintendo 64 and GameCube versions because Nintendo are too cheap. Barry says it's time for digital stores to start challenging the logic of everyday retail. Digital distribution allows for some great ways for publishers to interact with customers, and yet we aren't seeing anyone experiment with them yet. With an account system, it's easy for a publisher to know which titles you own, but we still don't see 20% off the sequels or even releasing games early to people that own previous titles in the series to promote the older titles. Until that game, digital will always pale in comparison to physical. Preach it, troops! Why would I download a game for £50 when I could pre-order a physical copy for at least 20% less that will arrive on my doorstep and often before release date? Look pretty on my shelf, have an option to trade, sell, and then I can take to a friend's if I want to play multiplayer. So, what are the advantages of digital copies again? Boy, I say boy! Network review of the biggest online model modes and all the hottest Nintendo eShop DLC. This is interesting. They're actually reviewing DLC. Not many publications do that for some reason, but I'm glad they did it here. The Pokemon Bank and Pokemon X and Y. An evolutionary step forward for the series with a smart number of refinements and the most dynamic Pokemon battles ever. Also a mode that lets you cram macaroons into a Snorlax's slobbery gobhole Hooray! In the real world, she would lose our Pokemon and retire with a sizable payoff.
Pokemon Bank is just what it sounds like, said Brigitte, the cheerful host. A place where you can deposit your Pokemon and keep them safe.
Though despite her strange haircut, a kind of spiky half-bob, she seems much more trustworthy than your average fat cat. As you won't earn interest in this account and an annual fee applies for 30-day free trial, it's more like Pokemon Overdraft really. Either way, the gist is this: you pay Nintendo to look after your Mon. He pretty much just talks about how to use it. Then he says $4.50 reasonable for a year's peace of mind if you're a serious collector, but you only give it 3 stars. MiiVerse watch. Ace Attorney, Jill Destiny's community. There's much to be said for a well-drawn character, in both senses of the term. Creating someone iconic sticks in people's heads long after the game is finished. Creating a whole series of iconic characters makes people draw tiny cutesy versions of them. All of the MiiVerse communities apparently. Well played, Shutanaki, well played. Joe also reviewed Spin the Bottle update pack. Napcode Games seems to be in a mission to make Nintendo look slow at its own game. The Danish developer award-winning Spin the Bottle and untangled the Wii U's naughty control scheme in ways first-party developers still haven't managed, and now, weeks after Satoru Iwata announced Nintendo has been investigating how to change its approach to digital pricing, that was a long sentence, the indies beat it to a punch again with an update that's free for early adopters. 6 new mini-games, after focusing entirely on the feature pack gamepad. There's Footsie Ball, which is a game of Pong where you're asked to play with your feet. That one's a bit unhygienic. Adding more to Spin the Bottle repertoire is always a good thing, but it's a shame we're more impressed by Knock Knock's approach to it than the content itself. They give the content out for free. A lot of companies wouldn't do that. Smash update. I don't blame them for being obsessed with Smash Bros. It's an awesome game. Helping Hand. It seems weird to use a glass jar version of Mother Brain instead of the chicken cyborg form, especially when she's using the rainbow beam. How can the giant brain like that fit into a tiniest trophy item? That's too awesome! The power of the Wii U must allow you to tap into the full creative bring to life power!
You should have it so that if a Metroid Assist trophy is on someone's head and MB attacks it, the Metroid dies instead of the player taking damage. Sorry to MiiVerse admin for that comment. I didn't know that would be that bad. I hope Lips from Panel Pawn is in the game. Why did they publish that? For people like me who don't know what he said, what always annoyed me about these magazines is they would have in big writing probably the most eye-catching sentence, and you'd read the paragraph and you just read the same sentence again. I know why they do it, but it's always been a little pet peeve of mine. Come on, Palkia, can't you give a fellow Mon a break? Lucario doesn't deserve this. Show a little celerity. My pal Palkia. Sakurai giveth and Sakurai taketh away. On the giver front, we have news of Palkia is now housed inside a Pokeball. It's good for anyone who wants to call down a special ring during the time of need, but its inclusion as a Pokeball probably rules out a return of Brawl's Spear Pullers after the hulking brute would appear randomly. After all, you couldn't have 2 Palkias appearing at once. What if the pair started getting friendly with one another? Rare Pokemon have to take love where they can get it. Nothing wrong with that, it's only natural, but once seen, never unseen. Wah! Palkia is terrifying in HD. It brought back memories of when I ran away from Kior and Pokemon Sapphire. Keep the pace up, Sakurai.
I understand if he ran away to heal up his Pokemon, not run away going, oh no, it's too scary. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Obi-Mon Kenobi. Epic yarn.
Have you heard the story from Balamuri? Tell us a story, Sakanuri. Sakurai's momentous decision to drop Brawl's subspace emissary mode has plagued him ever since. We estimate roughly 76% of all MiiVerse posts consist of story-based complaints. The man does himself no favours by poking the hornet's nest, offering a pic of the mysterious neon area and asking, "Where am I?" To be clear, the new Super Smash Bros. Game doesn't feature a story mode like the Subspace Emissary. Is that to suggest that it's the replacement? Subspace never floated Ohm's boat, so we'd be quite happy to see Sakurai return to Melee's adventure mode instead.
How dare you, Ohm? That was one of the best modes ever. How about a special move where you summon Fi to come and bore a rival to death by over-explaining? This is telling you that when you subscribe to Ohm, you'll get a plush toy free with it. So, our friendly subs man tells us that Mario plushies have almost run out, all apart from poor Luigi, who has been shown very little love by you lot. Very surprising, I thought Luigi was a very popular character. The year of Luigi only ended 2 months ago, and are we really that quick to forget? He's just as cuddly as the others. He's arguably more cuddly than Bowser. Dude's got spikes. You can't hug spikes. Of course, along with a taxidermied mascot. You pick from the free shown below. You'll get a regular dose of the magazine to your door and 23% off the shop's asking price. Think all the things you can buy with that money you'll save. Cheapy shop games, muffins and cakes. You could even buy scissors to despike your Bowser doll. Neat. Well, if I was picking it personally, I'd pick Bowser, then Luigi, and then Mario. I'm guessing the reason why Luigi is the least popular is because Mario's the mascot, so you'll get people like Mark the Nitpicker who will pick him because he's the main character, and then there's people like me who pick Bowser because he's the coolest looking, so that kind of leaves Luigi the least popular. This is A to Z of Super Smash Bros. Now you'll probably think, oh, I know all this, but they actually do touch on a lot of things that you wouldn't know. Like Link has a faster draw when firing the bow, which is ironic given that it's Pit's specialty, and they do that by firing the two arrows at each other together. You wouldn't really get that in many YouTube videos. Some of it is common knowledge, but there's actually surprisingly amount of facts here that you wouldn't really find on YouTube unless you searched for them specifically. A good article worth reading. Sonic Boom. US devs Big Red Button and Sanzuru Games take the reins of a visually astonishing Western only outing of the spiky blue Speed Freak on the Wii U and 3DS respectively. I was one of the suckers that thought this game was going to be good. Thankfully I never actually bought it. On my YouTube channel I torrented it, but don't tell anybody. It's funny. Visually astonishing? Definitely not. It looks like a PS2 game. Western only? That really should have been a big red button right there, because if the game was really that great, they would have released it in Japan. I know Japanese are a bit narrow-minded, but I'm sure Sonic would have done decently well there, even though it wasn't made by Japanese. The Blue Blur is back in an eye-popping 3D TV spin-off. You'll be able to explore the same world you'll see in the 11-minute episode on TV. Hey, you'll be wearing bandages too, what if all the wear and tear of heroism? Amy's special ability is running away as fast as humanly possible. Two-player co-op with puzzles. I wouldn't even call them puzzles. They're baby's first puzzles, maybe. Just out of shot, a mob of furious Sega fanboys comes after them with pitchforks. I wonder if they knew that this game sucked, but they had to sell it up. Is that why they put in that comment? Levels are more expansive than Lost World's linear A to B racing gauntlets. They say that like it's an advantage, but it's just a different type of game. This is more of an open world game. Lost World was more level based, so it's not really a good thing or a bad thing. Eat your vegetables and you'll grow up big and strong, just like Knuckles. The game and animation were worked closely together. If they had an idea, they could add it to the cartoon and vice versa. Mario Kart 8. Mario's new bike has a jet turbine at the front. That's cheating, surely. There's not much point talking about this one because most people know what Mario Kart is. With tracks as inventive as they are beautiful, this could be the best Mario Kart ever. Nah, more like middle of the road, but solid nonetheless. Hometown story. Open a shop, pillage the village. Find out what people treasure, stick it in your shop and charge them top whack. You're working late tonight. The effort you put in the shop is the reason you are successful. This is exactly how Matthew addresses Team Home. The condescending get. Whoa, 7:20? We didn't know clocks went back that early. Light fantastic. Legendary Final Fantasy composer Nobuo Uematsu is on hand to provide the music in Hometown Story, but the tunes are much more restrained than his usual fare. Electric pop ditties, cartoony kids jingles, everything's designed to lend the game a warmer tone than you might expect from what amounts to capitalism, the game. True to its maker's heritage, Harvest Moon creator Yahiro Wada's Hometown Story is a life simulation, but you won't appreciate its realism until you've lived through a few of its in-game days. Much like its farming forebears, your life starts with a death. In this case, your grandmother has popped her gentle clogs, leaving behind a village shop that needs restocking and running. The game's opening section would have you believe that that was all there was to it. After meeting a curious, unexplained levitating cat thing, Ponchika, you're given a quick rundown of what it means to run the store. Decorating, filling shelves. You've got profit-loss spreadsheets to consider, wholesalers to buy from and customers to charm into returning. Your working hours are from 6 AM to 11:30 PM with no break for lunch. After a very short while, the cartoon style of the game seems less like a reflection of its easygoing tone and more like a mask of what seems to be nothing more than job training for some cookie accountancy firm. Then Pochika asks if you like to go for a walk. It turns out that despite being a one-man and anti-grav pet operation, you can choose to step out of the shop at any time to explore the surroundings. It becomes clear that this point is to mix business with pleasure. Meeting one of tens of townspeople can lead to getting to know them, finding out what their treasured possessions could be, and then, rather cynically, stocking it in your shop for them to pay top whack for. It's a system that asks you to go through the daily grind, with the proviso that having fun outside will make it easier for you to get along. It remains to be seen just how much fun it'll be forced on that grind, though WADA made tweaks to make the game system, allowing for multiple social quests at once. For instance, after a lukewarm North American release last year, if simulating the grind leads to stimulating the mind, we'll be happy to tell its story. In space, no one can hear you wander around large rooms humming to yourself. When in doubt, fill it full of lead, as Grandma used to say. Really scary lady. You'll have to hand it to Renegade Kid. Its belief in the handheld FPS never wavers, despite the occasional bout of claw hand syndrome caused by playing them. The news that a DS sci-fi shooter Moon is coming to 3DS is exciting for a number of reasons. Not least its support of the Circle Pad Pro, which barely had any support, but the new episodic structure is perhaps the most intriguing element of this spruced up port. Chronicles chops Moon into 4 chunks, ahead of all new second season sometime in the future. Of what prompted this decision. The episodic approach is something I wanted from games for a long time, as Joel Watcham explains. I remember finishing Wind Waker on GameCube and wishing I could have more content without having to wait for a sequel, or for having the whole game reinvented. I just wanted more chapters in the same story. The first episode of each season will be released standalone, with the remaining episodes followed as DLC. The second season will have boldly monikered hero, Mayor Kane, stretching his legs a bit further into the galaxy. RK sees Moon Chronicles as a dark Star Trek or Battlestar Galactica, which hopefully doesn't mean the story will turn into complete bobbins by the end. If it even has one, RK could literally continue this story forever as long as players have interest. Well, do you? No. I'm not a fan of episodic content. You end up paying more for the episodes than what you would if the game was just released on its own. The episodes won't really get as much of a price deduction as what it would be if it was just one game, because you'd have to decrease the price of all the episodes, and if you buy one, you pretty much have to buy them all anyway. Tesla Grand. That thing looks more like Tesla Rad. It's been a long week. Does this technically qualify as balls to the wall action? The game starts with a dramatic escape, the best kind of escape. The tower's full of mystery and pearl, scuttling bugs, ghouls, and stomping robots. Tesla Grand is the second game for Norway Rain Games. Its striking aesthetic, full of expressive character animations and richly detailed backgrounds, are unlike anything else. These touches are amplified by a delicate soundtrack, composed by Jorn Lavoll and Lynn Catherine Teklo from Burn Cat Music Productions. The music stays with you as long as the game is switched off. Tesla Grand opens in a European city as it burns to the ground. Your character, a spirited young boy with sleek-back 1940s style hair and breeches, skitters across the hot rooftops, pursued by invading soldiers who ransack the houses. The boy takes refuge in a mysterious tower, supposedly built by Nikola Tesla. The cavernous place that crackles of electricity and houses a multitude of rooms and puzzles. It provides safety to the horrors outside, but also clutches of dangers of its own. Cube Director's Cut. The cake was a lie. Whoops, sorry, wrong game.
Whatever you do, don't mention the P-word. Rhymes with Blortle. When Cube hit PC in 2011, all people saw was another first-person shooter set in stock test chambers. Enough to write off as a Me Too effort and move on. Yes, there are similarities, but there's also differences. We count 10 wiggling ones. A pair of gloved hands floating at the bottom of the screen that allows for block manipulation that gives the game its full, unwieldy name. Quirk understanding of block extrusion. The magical bits grant control over colored cubes embedded in the white walls, taking the hue of whatever hexadron they're pointing at. Hey, how did this pic of Joe's weird alt bedroom get in here?
Bayonetta 2. While we're crazy in love with Platinum's insane actioner, written by Chris Skilling, not to be confused with Chris Scullion, who used to write for the magazine. The secret mountain of Bayonetta 2 is named after a term in Norse mythology. Vimblefenter or Vimblewinter translates as mighty winter, a bout of particularly extreme weather said to herald the arrival of Ragnarok or the end of the world. Could Bayonetta's attempts to save Jean help bring about the apocalyptic catastrophe? Wouldn't surprise us. 2 guns good, 4 guns better. Bayonetta indulges in a little horseplay. We could listen to her say, Purgatorio! All day long, we really could. Mario Golf World Tour. Drink it in! The luscious green lawn, the briny blue sea, the cloud shaped like a pea. Whoops! Look away, kids. Camelot's latest introduces the Castle Club, a fancy clubhouse for Miis. Rumours abound that Ohm's Matthew Castle has been honoured in the aptly named Castle Club with a giant statue of his lordship tucking into a wisp of gold. Lego the Hobbit. In a real Lego fight, the winner is usually Mom's errant vacuum cleaner. The problem with these sparks is you get melted claw hands. Ugh, if you can stomach the disgust, imagine a Vitruvian Games writer. Don't worry, it won't be the Leonardo da Vinci nude, stately Octoman. Just look at us, but rather a smugly grinning dude, probably dressed in obligatory nerd reference t-shirt and surrounded by speech bubbles that represent his ideals, opinions that people like us always seem to share. A bit too close to home for me. Slotted next to QuickTime events are gross and I wish I was eating crisps, you'll find a snarky sad little entry. Lego games are all the same. This isn't born of malice. Traveller's Tales has done magnificent work of the series, but after you've played games of the same basic rhythm 2 or 3 times a year for a few years, the edges do tend to blur. Monolith's X before it was called Xenoblade X. I actually think Monolith's X sounds better, but I don't think the company would name a game after themselves. The gameplay is the same as Xenoblade Chronicles, but the story is completely different. The story's actually pretty bad in this game. You're only really in it for the gameplay. Unlike its predecessor, which had a better balance. Make 98% of all Wii U games look like a child's scribblings. Gorgeous. The first in-depth gameplay footage of what may be the best Japanese RPG ever. Well, it's good, but I wouldn't call it the best. It's clear from the new footage that your character's health gauge is completely separate from the one used by the doll robot, which you don't unlock until playing 50 hours through the game. We have seen 20-foot gorillas with 4 arms and Diplodocus-style dinosaurs. These next 2 pages I'm gonna read in full because they are that entertaining. As Western developers strip back HUDs to a clutter-free cinematic ideal, Spine Chunsoft revels in the madness. It was born in the madness. Conception 2, Children of the 7 Stars. The answer to the question of how babies are made of. Sort of. Conception 2's girls are slightly more than just the mother of your star children. They can also take them into battle, putting them alongside their briskly grown-up offspring. Outside fights, you can give your harem presents, dress them up in different outfits, accessories, and even give them a bit of a rub in the touchscreen. If it all sounds a bit seedy and weird, well, it is. As chat-up lines go, I need to impregnate 7 women in order to make a bunch of star children. You are one of those women. Could definitely use some work. It's down there with, if I told you you had a beautiful body, would you please go out with me? Which has so far failed to secure Ohm a date. It's a line that happens to ring true, however, at least in Spike Chunsoft's creepy Conception 2. As the name suggests, it's more or less an RPG about doing the nasty, making the beast with 2 backs. Sex! We're talking about sex! You are the Merbito, a term that doesn't appear to refer to the J-horror of the same name. Here it means a man who is prophesied to save the world by seducing 7 girls and turning their progeny into his slave-like workforce. Typical JRP, wait, what? Mr. Lover. Conception is handled not by human naughty bits, but by a device called the Love Machine, which is the Japanese equivalent to Channel 4's Sex Box. In place of Marilena Frostrup and a panel of sexperts is a panel of sexy stats. If you ignore the weirdly ectoplasmic reproduction animation, it's essentially Shin Megami Tensei's Demon Fusion system, but with a bit more side boob. The Love Machine, incidentally, this is the name of our old Ford Fiesta, eventually spits out a star child, and then another, and before you know it, you have a whole gaggle of test tube super kids. Before Child Protection discovers what you're up to, you send them into dungeons, themed after 7 deadly sins, to fight enemies in a series of turn-based battles. There's all sorts of systems and gauges and chain combo attacks going on in battle sequences, but most novel of these is your ability to attack from all 360 degree of your favourite angles, and with the act of conception, positioning is massively important here. Every enemy being weak from a particular side. Like its Japanese-only predecessor, this is half dating sim, half turn-based RPG. It's Persona without the demons, and with a weird, it's not quite sex, but it's okay then reproduction system in its place. People often talk about the miracle of birth, but sprogs are born all the time. Conception 2 getting a UK's release is far more unlikely, so here it is, about to crown on the eShop sometime this summer. Hero Bank. It's all about the money, money, money in Sega's virtual robo wrestling game. Apparently this works in high street bank branches too. Please continue to hold if you wish to chin one of our robots. Hero Bank has some of the most over-the-top designs we have seen in a long time. We're particularly looking forward to the summoning Segabot, Antibot, an actual Iron Chef, and even a metallic salaryman. Your self-made machines can't hope to compete when it comes to style, but if you feel like getting creative, this involves some sort of minigame. The credit crunch has affected all of us, not least angry-faced youth Kato Gosho. He's in debt to the tune of 1 billion yen, which is about 80,000 gold rings, or the interest of one easily consolidated loan from Tom Nook. How does he hope to pull himself out of this money pit of shame? The same way smart people solve a fiduciary early problem, by punching robots in the mush. Said automatons are your competitors in this titular Hero Bank, a virtual wrestling tournament in which the notion of having to spend money in order to raise money could never be truer. So it's like the stock market. Every move in the ring costs precious wonga. From the simple act of blocking to the not so simple one of transforming your hero gear, your battle suit, into its souped up Enter the Gold state. Cash in the attic. Interestingly, Enter the Gold appears to trade power for maneuverability, adding a bunch of new moves that you should make, wamping the game's memorable cast of combatants a less daunting proposition. Speed and style are the utmost importance for reasons that are, once again, to do with money. Dosh doesn't grow on trees in this game's virtual arenas, but it does spill from every digital orphanage. Battering your opponents causes moolah to gush out, and you have to cater frantically around the ring to collect it. An enthusiastic crowd is more than happy to chuck coins into the arena, too, so it pays to keep them on side. The touchscreen keeps track of the whereabouts of stray scratch. When you grow tired of your own hero gear, you can summon a helper to fight for you, some of whom are based on real-world corporations. These shameless pieces of product placement include a Pizza Hut robot, a Fujifilm camera bot, and of course a bulldog working for the Tokyo Police. If these options affiliate yourself with the products don't appeal, there are other non-sponsored warriors for you to choose, as well as the ability to make your own out of the loose bits and bobs. If Hero Bank sounds like the sort of thing that's unlikely to see a Western release, that's because it is. It's also a game that proves that anything is possible, even working your way out of obscene debt. Now, who at Sega do we have to wrestle to make this happen? Hello guys, hope you're having a fantastic day. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe for more videos. Bye!